What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my jump from the C43 to the GTS. We're going to be talking about the performance, the sound, the convenience, and just like the normal features and stuff in no particular order. But first, we're going to leave because those people, they've been like watching me for like 10 minutes while I was taking my thumbnail. So, I don't know, when people watch me do this kind of stuff, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, we'll be back. Alright guys, I'm getting sick and tired of you. We are back in a new location where we will not be disturbed because there's not a single car in sight. Well, except for that one. So the first thing I want to talk about is the price. So, this car, MSRP, without state tax or anything, with all the options, was $156,000 USD. And even though it's technically a new car, I did not have to pay that much money for this car, thankfully. Long story short, this car has been sitting on the lot at the Mercedes dealership for a few years. So even though it had like no miles on it, nobody was buying it. But I don't want to get too in depth on that because I'll save that information for a different video. The C43 MSRP for that car was about $66,000. Do you guys think the extra money is worth it? Maintenance wise on the C43, within the 3.5 years that, oh my god, there's a train. Maintenance wise on the C43, I replaced the brakes twice, and I replaced the winter and summer tires back and forth, I think twice as well. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. That was a long time ago. But for this car, like I said, I haven't been able to service it because it's a new car. I picked it up when it had about like 90 miles on it, and now I've put about 2,600 miles on it now, so I try to drive it as much as I can. But yeah, let's talk about the performance now. You guys know I love launching cars. Here's some footage of me launching the GTS. And now, here's some footage of me launching the C43. So, as you can see with the C43, we got 4.0 seconds like on the dot basically. And that's with the stage 1 tune. And as you can see with the GTS, with the summer tires, we got 3.6. So on paper, it's a lot. 0.4 seconds feels like a lot as well. But without a stage 1 tune, I believe you can get around 4.1 to 4.2 seconds on the 2019 and 2020 C43. So if you like launching, you can't really go wrong with either car, because even though the GTS is rear-wheel drive, it's very well balanced. Like, you can launch this car as much as you want to, and you can get pretty decent times even in the winter, as long as there's no snow on the ground and as long as you've gotten your tires warm. It hooks up pretty well. Unfortunately, with the C43, I was not able to get a 60 to 130 time, but the new owner of the C43 will kind of send me that footage later on. But with the stage 1 tune on the C43, the 0 to 60 was 4.0 seconds that I've gotten on camera. Off camera, I've gotten 3.9. If I were to estimate the 60 to 130 time on the C43, I want to say it's about 11 seconds. With this car, this 60 to 130 time was about 9.7 seconds. And that time is actually kind of wrong because when the person, not me, was driving at 130 miles an hour, they kind of let their foot off the gas and then they floored it. So stock, I'm pretty sure this car can get 60 to 130 in about like 9.5-ish seconds, 9.6 seconds. Now, it's not the fastest thing in the world, it's not the slowest thing in the world, but it looks great. But feeling wise, oh my god, this car jumping from a C43 to a GTS is kind of like switching worlds. It's day and night. The C43 is all-wheel drive with rear-wheel drive bias, and this car is completely just straight up rear-wheel drive. All the power is going to the back wheels right over there. So the acceleration, the launches, basically anything you do, it feels really different on the GTS compared to the C43. The all-wheel drive of the C43 was great. You can drive it every day. You can drive in the snow, no matter how deep the snow is. I had no issues with that car, as long as you have winter tires. And I did drive this car in the winter time with snow on the ground, and it was an absolute nightmare. So if you plan on getting any rear-wheel drive car, just kind of be careful in the snow. Even if you have winter tires, just be careful. So yeah, driving wise, feeling wise, the butt dyno is more fun on this car. Now that doesn't mean the C43 was not a fun car. It was a great car, especially for the price. $66,000 for a twin turbo V6 with amazing exhaust sound and pretty good performance stage one. It's just absolutely, I love that car. All right, so now we've talked about the performance. Let's talk about the sound. Let's get a quick rev from the GTS. Yep, that sounds absolutely crazy. And now, let's get a quick rev from the C43. That car is more of a screamer. This one is more of like a grunter. The C43 from factory did not pop at all. I had to add a burble tune to get those kind of pops, but that was like with the mild burble tune. Sound-wise, it's up to you. If you like more of a screamer, get the C43. If you like more of like a deeper, like kind of exhaust note, then the GTS is for you, or C63, you know. So overall, sound-wise, they sound different, but they both sound amazing. So for the C43 from the 2015 to the 2018 model year, it has a rev limiter on it, and it won't allow you to rev past 3,500 RPM, which kind of sucks because that engine sounds fantastic. With the GTS, there is no rev limiter. But back to the C43. The 2019 and 2020 model, they increased the rev range, like when you're in park or neutral, from 3,500 to 4,500. Quick side note, if you're debating from getting like an older C43 compared to a newer one, I would highly suggest getting the newer ones because you get the facelifted body, you get the new interior trim with the new steering wheel and the new seats. You can now spec bucket seats on the new C43s. You can get the same bucket seats that I have in my GTS in a C43. Alright, speaking of interior stuff, I want to talk about the noise. In the cheaper car, in the C43, you get a lot more like soundproofing when you're driving. In the GTS, you don't. In the C43, you can just keep the car in comfort mode and drive down the highway. You're like basically trapped in your own little bubble. You don't hear any road noise. With the GTS, it's a completely different story. Like when I'm driving at like 5 to 10 miles per hour, like on a street or something, I can hear all the little pebbles hitting the underside of the car. And then when you're driving at like more highway speeds, you can hear the air. And that's actually like kind of the con to it. But the pro to it is that you can hear the exhaust very well, and that's what I love. It sounds amazing. So, we've talked about sound, we've talked about performance, we talked about pricing, and yeah, let's talk about the convenience. Obviously, the GTS is not very daily drivable compared to the C43. One, because it's more expensive to maintain, and two, I mean, if you don't really like attention, then don't get this car, even though it's very subtle already. The C43 is easily a better daily, and that's because the C43 has all-wheel drive with rear-wheel bias. If the GTS was all-wheel drive, I still don't think I would daily it. One, because it's expensive to maintain. Two, it's very low to the ground. So going over speed bumps, I've never had like a serious issue with going over speed bumps. I don't want to say it's a problem, but the other thing with the GTS is that it attracts too much attention sometimes. At least 75% of the time I go to the gas station, people always compliment the car, which is fine, it doesn't bother me, but it's just like, it starts a lot of conversations. That's not a bad thing, it's not necessarily a good thing if you don't want to talk to people, because sometimes I am antisocial. With the C43, it did attract attention, especially from the police. Like, I have not been pulled over in my GTS yet. Hopefully I didn't just jinx it, but with the C43, with the racing stripe, it attracted too much attention. It was bad. Do you guys think that extra, like basically $100,000 is worth spending on the GTS? And that's for you to decide. If you ask me, is the extra $100,000 worth it? Well, it kind of depends, because I've had the C43 for 3.5 years, and I experienced that car until I was fully pleased with it. And now I actually wanted something rear-wheel drive. Going from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive is actually not as bad as people think. It's so well balanced that even though it's rear-wheel drive, you can have fun with it, you can swing it around if you want to. Oh yeah, and I also want to address one thing. That long hood in the front, it actually didn't take that long to get used to. I got used to it in about a day. Yeah, one day. People think it takes weeks to get used to, but it doesn't. Because in this car, another feature thing is that I have parking sensors. In the C43, I didn't have parking sensors, so you have to be super careful. But it actually makes the car much easier to drive now that it has parking sensors. Once you get to about a foot away from an object, like a wall for example, on the inside, it'll start beeping like crazy. So that's how you know when you're getting wicked close. Ultimately, going from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive is not a problem. I wanted rear-wheel drive because I feel like driving rear-wheel drive cars is harder, and I wanted to kinda boost my driving skills by getting a rear-wheel drive car. Also, comment down below, do you guys think the extra markup on the GTS is worth it compared to the C43? Let me know. If you guys have any questions for me, please leave it in the comments below and I will definitely reply to you. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at amgenetics. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.